Anyone have any questions? Yes, Jordan.
Um, so is there any consequences for if someone in Israel um like they don't want to be in the IDF, but they don't have any like religious exemption? Because
Oh,
I was hearing about like I don't know if this is reputable, but people being put in jail for
yes.
that.
So you'd have to be, there are people in Israel who are completely, okay, everything in Israel comes down to knowing the system and knowing somebody in the system. Now, you don't have to know somebody. You could just know the system. There is no way anybody who doesn't want to go to jail is going to jail for not serving the army. There are like literally a million ways. Religion is like the hardest of them all because you got to actually like get somebody to like stamp that you're religious. Okay, so unless you are religious, then it's very simple. But if you're not religious, it's like there's just so many ways to get out of the army. It's beyond like, I mean, it's just so simple. So whenever you read about like 18-year-olds who refuse to serve and they're going to jail, it's because they're trying to make a point, right? I mean, there's just so many easy ways. You find a sympathetic doctor who's going to write you a note. I mean, it's so, and the army doesn't need people. It's not 1975 anymore. We're not fighting wars with people taking like kills. Right now, war is fought with drones. So, like, for instance, like there's a whole social movement to force the Haredim to serve in the army, right? But like, whenever you ask anybody from the army if they want the Haredim, they're like, no, we don't need more people. Like, why do we want people that have never exercised their entire lives, like to come with no skill set whatsoever that's going to help us in the army, all of a sudden like flood our ranks, and we're going to have to train them, and they're only going to have to do a year and a half anyway. So why would we want them? So like, there's no one like saying like, oh, we need that person. So every once in a while you have, I think like they just had it again. You have like these kids that like put on a protest. Like, I'm not going to the army, right? And they make the biggest deal of it in the world. And everybody in Israel is looking at them and being like, it's why they get no attention in Israel, because everyone's like, okay, well, you're doing this for the attention, not like for like ego's sake attention. Like, let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they're trying to make a political point, and that's why they're going to jail. So okay, so you want to make you want your attention. So most of the country doesn't agree with their points, which is why most of the country is sending their kids to the army. And why there's no policy changes, because if most of the country agree with these teenagers and their parents and whoever else is encouraging them to do this, there would be policy changes in Israel, right? And Israel's a democracy, and we have elections every couple of months. So it's so it's like it's very easy to change policies if people felt the policy should be changed. So yeah, very, very simple to get out of the army. And if you see anybody going to jail, it's because they're making a point. Okay. Any other questions?
Speaking of going to jail, what's going on with BB?
I just made a video about this.
I'm not on the group chat.
My video of the day. I just put it out 20 minutes ago. So yeah, there's nothing's happening. BB went to trial today. Ooh, he's in trial. Okay, shocking. He pled not guilty. Whoa, curveball. No one saw that coming. Yeah, so like, that was like the essence. People love the pictures. They love the pictures of BB. And then the protesters come out with all their arts and crafts projects. So they put out a red carpet today in front of the courtroom, because that shows that like, oh wow, look at that. I honestly, there's a lot of people in this country I do not understand. Like a lot. You're not in the chat. I'll send you the thing, Leander. It's not an NCSY chat. There's a lot of people I don't understand. Like, I really do not understand this country. Many, many, many people I don't understand. On the top of the list of people I do not understand, more than people that don't follow COVID rules at all, are the anti-BB protesters. Like, I cannot understand them, because they've accomplished nothing. They've been protesting for 3 years. They've lost 4 elections since they started protesting. 4 elections. I have a friend that lives right down the block from the prime minister's residence, and the protesters come out. She hates them. She also hates BB, but she's going to vote for BB just so that the protesters don't get their way. That's like, she really, really does not like Prime Minister Netanyahu. She really was dead set on voting against him. And she's like, no, I'm going to vote for him because I hate these protesters. They come out at like 10 o'clock at night on Saturday nights. They come out, they make a lot of noise. They annoy a lot of people. And like, for what? What is the what are they essentially like going to accomplish? And one thing you'd say, we want to force elections. Okay, you got elections. You have 4 elections. Yeah. Instead of protesting, why don't you go out canvassing and trying to convince people to vote for a different party? Like that would be more productive. So I don't understand them. I can't understand these protesters. It's not like you're going to influence a trial. It's not like you're going to influence anyone in Israel whatsoever by protesting. If anything, like, you're throwing them the other way. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand it. So that's it. They're really annoying. They're really annoying. My wife and I were on vacation earlier this year. I have no sense of time anymore in dates. So I don't know when it was. It was at some point, and we were somewhere. I don't even know where, in Israel. And it was one of these anti-BB caravans. And like, they were just driving around and around honking. And it was just so annoying. So I just stepped out into the middle of the street and blocked they stick together. So they go through lights together, everything together. So I just stepped in front of the street and broke up the caravan. And they're like honking at me to get out of the way. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this. You've annoyed me for the last 15 minutes by driving around honking. Now I'm going to annoy you. I'm just going to stand here. If you want to run me over, try running me over. But I'm not moving. I'm going to be and it's like a whole caravan of cars. They're all honking at me, get out of the way. And I'm like, no, I'm not moving. You go to the right, I'm going to go to the right. You go to the left, I'm going to go to the left. You're not going to get around me. You know, that's like, I really don't get them. Anyway, that's what I do on my vacations. So I don't know how to surf or anything. So that's my fun. Okay. So, okay. Any other questions? Jordan.
So I saw that the International Crime Court says that it has jurisdiction to declare war crimes in Israel. Is that something to be concerned about?
Yeah, that is something to be concerned about. That's like a big thing. That's a really, really big thing. It's absolutely absurd on many, many levels. Number one, the fact that they think that they have jurisdiction. The International Criminal Court was created for situations where there's no redress in the country itself. So in other words, the country does not have an independent judiciary where you can go to charge somebody with war crimes. So like Rwanda, when it's falling apart, right? And there's no courts in Rwanda. So where does somebody who is guilty of war crimes from Rwanda in general, where do they go? What court could they go to, right? Where could you go? If you're an Iraqi citizen and an American soldier did something wrong to you, you can go to American courts and sue that soldier. Right? The American courts aren't going to be like, what? Put one of our own in the way? No, right? That's not how American courts work, right? American courts are honest, right? So the International Criminal Court should have no jurisdiction over America. It should have no jurisdiction over Israel because we have the same exact fair judicial system. No one disagrees with that. The court didn't come down and say, since Israel doesn't have a fair judicial system, we declare that we have jurisdiction. That's not true. That's not what happened at all. So they have no jurisdiction. It's supposed to be something between states. Palestine's not a state. It's not a state. So the whole thing is political more than it is just. And we'll have to see where it goes. But the worst case scenario is that certain people will be convicted of crimes in absentia because there's no way they're going to participate in the trials, right? And then if that happened, then certain European countries could arrest them if they visit those countries. That's the very worst that could happen. There have been cases like this where not the International Criminal Court, but like people have gone to courts in England and sued Israeli soldiers, and then the Israeli soldiers were like in England and they were under threat. It could get like pretty troubling for some people. But I don't know. I like Naftali Bennett's response the best, which was he was a special forces soldier, so he's not under suspicion of anything. But Naftali Bennett said, like, listen, if you're drawing up a list of people that should be under suspicion, put me on the top of that list. That's where I want to be. Because I know that we've done nothing wrong. So that's it. So it's really, but it's completely, I mean, a lot of times we like to say that anything anti-Israel is anti-Semitic, but this is it's hard to find a better case than this one to show that things that are anti-Israel are anti-Semitic. This is really singling out Israel for, they wouldn't take on the Chinese the Chinese army for putting 1 million Muslims in a concentration camp and re-educating them. They're like, no, we can't go there. That's not under our jurisdiction. But like Israel, how do you figure? So that's a problem. Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. Here we go. So now let's get down to business. Okay, so we've got in 2 weeks. Next week we're not going to have class because it's President's Day. So in honor of the president, we're not going to have class. Okay, in honor of George Washington and Abe Lincoln and Donald Trump and all our other great leaders of the country. Okay, so we're not going to have class. I cannot wait to see what he does for President's Day. I'm hoping that's like his coming out day since he's been in hiding since he's left the presidency. I hope that he like has a parade for himself or something. Because that would just be amazing. But like, it's my day. It's President's Day. I'm a president, so that'd be great. But that'll be anyway. On the one hand, I'm happy there's no more drama in the White House. On the other hand, I am sort of missing the comic relief here and there. Like at certain points, the craziness like gave us a break from the mundane, and like that we're missing. It's just it's a lot of mundane already. Okay, so I think it's gonna be 4 years of just mundane stuff coming out of the White House. I don't think we're going to see any excitement, but who knows?
You got enough of that from what's her name, Marjorie Taylor Greene, no?
Right, we got a lot of from her, right? And she's a pretty nutso crazy woman. Forget about the anti-Semitism. I don't know how you can ever say forget about the anti-Semitism, but I don't know which late night comic said it, I think the best. And he said that whenever you have to start off a sentence with I believe 9/11 is true and actually happened, you've done something really, really bad. Yeah. So I think that was very apropos. Okay. So here's how, let's just explain something here. Okay. There are members of Congress, there are members of the Senate, and then there's the president. Okay. We're taking out
Rabbi,
yes.
before you start, can you let Ariana Hovland in?
No, I will not let her in. I don't like her.
Well, that's fine.
You're in. Never.
Is that because she's a Republican, Rabbi?
No, it's because she's already in the room. Okay, so anyway, Ariana is one of the only teenagers I go and party with. We went in December and partied at the White House together. So, okay, but Ariana was very close with the Trump administration, was invited to the Hanukkah party as well. Okay, so in any case, there are members of Congress and there are members of the Senate. What most people don't recognize and don't realize, they don't teach this in your 6th grade social studies class, especially not in Israel. So is that in Congress and in the Senate, there are committees, okay? There are committees. And in the committees, there are subcommittees, okay? So you have committees and subcommittees. And you're appointed to committees when you get into Congress. And as long as you're careful to never say 9/11 didn't happen, and as long as you're careful not to say that Jews have lasers, you will be assigned a committee. If you say those things, then there's a rule in Congress that they have to take you out of Congress. If you say that Jews control the country with money, you can still stay in your committee. That's fine. That's okay. If you say we're going to impeach the president on day 1 of his presidency without any evidence, no problem. That's okay. You can stay in Congress and get on the committees. That's perfectly okay. Also, it seems to me if the House is controlled by Democrats and you're a Democrat and do something wrong, you can stay in a committee. And if the House is controlled by, and if you're a Republican and the House is controlled by Democrats and you say something wrong, then you can't stay in committees. That seems to be the going rule right now in Washington. I don't know if the opposite is true. I have a feeling we'll find out in the next midterm elections. We'll find out if Republicans will throw out one of their own or not, but Democrats clearly won't. Okay, so getting that underway. Each of these committees and subcommittees, this is what most Americans don't know. Most Americans just assume you have a committee and you have subcommittees, okay, and they deal with the specific issues that they're assigned, right? And then, so you just imagine that like members of Congress on their committees get together and they talk. But that's not true at all, okay? That's really not true. The members of the committee rarely actually meet. They rarely meet. What they do have is every once in a while, they'll have a public hearing, okay, where they'll have witnesses that will testify in the matter that they're considering or a bill that they're considering. And you can testify in front of Congress if you're an expert, if they call you, if they decide to have you as a witness. And you can testify on these committees, okay? But what most people don't realize is that these committees have their own employees, okay? Each of these committees has people that work for the committees. They have their own lawyers, they have their own advisors, they have their own analysts. They have a lot of money spent on them. Now, who gets to hire these people? Who hires people for the committees, right? Who gets to decide who hires the people for the committees? So it's the chair people and the ranking members. Each party gets their own employees on the committee, okay? So if you're the chairman of a committee, you get, or a subcommittee, you get to hire a certain amount of staff members to work for the committee, okay, out of your own pocket. Okay, and not out of your own pocket, excuse me, out of the American taxpayer, out of my pocket, out of the American taxpayer's pocket, you get to hire these people, and these people now work for you. So if you're the chairman of a committee, you have people that work for you in your district, right? Back in, let's say, Florida, in your home district, in the offices that you have there. You have people that work for you in your Washington office, and if you're a chairperson of a committee, then you have people that work for you on the committee. Now they don't work for you because you're a member of Congress. They work for you because you're the chair of the committee. Got it? Okay. But in essence, even the people that work for the committee are really working under one large umbrella under the member of Congress. Okay. So Rebecca, a ghost just ran behind you. So now, if you have all these people, now it would be one thing to think, it would be a fantasy in our minds if we thought this was true, that all these people like lived in separate worlds. Like the committee people never got together with the staff people. But in essence, they all work for the same person. So they're all very close and they all split up assignments. Everybody understand? I'm sure there's some laws that committee people can't do certain work for the member of Congress, whatever that might be. Okay, I'm sure that there are some laws that separate, but in essence, really, they're all doing like really the same work. So let's say a member of Congress, let's take a real life example of what we're going to be talking about here. Let's say Congressman Deutsch, okay? Excuse me, I take a drink. Okay, let's say Congressman Deutsch wants to pass a law saying that if Iran wants American vaccines, it has to give up its nuclear program. Okay, let's say that would be a great law, right? Of course, Iran doesn't want American vaccines, but let's imagine that he said that. Okay, fine. That's the law he wants to pass. So he wants to do research on this law. And let's say there's like 3 weeks worth of research that has to get done if he has only his staff working on it. So he can portion out some of that work to a staff member, right, on the committee, not just on his staff, okay, because that person's working and that's committee work. Everybody got it? Everybody following? Okay. So if you want to lobby a member of Congress, what you'd want to do, that everybody thinks you want to lobby the actual member of Congress because that's the decision maker. But that's actually not true. Very rarely do you want, unless it's a really big ticket item that you know the member of Congress really cares about, you don't want to lobby the member of Congress because the member of Congress's mind is in all different places. So the chances of your message actually sticking are very, very small, okay? Let's imagine that at any given time, there are 300 issues in front of a member of Congress, okay? And they have to vote on all 300 issues at some point over the course of the year. Issues, like let's be realistic, issues 200 through 300 are going to get about 1 second's worth of the member of Congress's time. So he divvies out those issues to advisors, and the advisors know the type of positions that he takes. And right before the member of Congress goes to vote, right, let's say you take a member of Congress from Manhattan, okay? So it's all city, and there's some Iowa farm bill. It's not going to affect any single person in his district. He doesn't know anything about farming. Nothing ever comes up about farming, but all Congress has to vote on a farming bill. So he's going to turn to a member of his staff who's in charge of agricultural issues. And right before the vote, he's going to turn to them and say, which way do I vote on this? Yes, no. And they're going to say, Congressman, you want to vote yes on this? He's going to go vote yes, okay? Chances are he'll be looking at his party leadership to see which way they're voting, and that's how they're going to do it. So if you want to really have influence, who do you want to, oh, wait, Shlomi, you got to go? Oh, no, so you're not going to get an assignment then. Okay, too late, he's gone. Okay, so So if you want to really make an impression and really have your point of view have an influence, who do you want to speak to? You want to speak to the advisor, not to to the staff person, not to the member of Congress themselves. Okay, that's key. That's something that most people don't realize. Okay, most people just want the photo op or they want the attention from the member of Congress and they want to feel like, but it rarely does it really make a difference. Okay. Okay, so I asked Congressman Deutsch's office because I figured that would be the easiest, and I figured that, like, I don't know why. I have no idea where Jordan lives, or I don't think Ariana's in Congressman Deutsch's district, and I just assumed Rebecca was, but I might be wrong on that one. Okay, Rebecca, do you live in Boca?
Yeah, I am.
Is your member of Congress Ted Deutsch? Okay, fine, good. At least we got one constituent. Okay, we're going to say we're all constituents, but in any case, Ariana, are you a member? Are you a constituent of Congressman Deutsch?
No, I'm not.
Who are you a member? Who are you a constituent? Who's your congressperson?
I'm not sure of her name off the top of my head, but I just know it's not Congressman Deutsch.
What? Where do you live? Okay. Anyway, I know she lives in Florida. Oh, here we go. Nope, maybe not. Okay. Anyway, so Congressman Deutsch is. I asked his chief of staff if she could send somebody. So she chose somebody. They usually choose somebody who's Jewish with a Jewish sounding name. I don't know why they do this, as if like we can't relate to anybody not Jewish. You live in Nakahochi? Okay, I don't know where that is. Waxahachie, I don't know. That sounds like, okay, I don't know. Anyway, so that cannot be the name of an actual city. But anyway, so sending somebody to speak to us whose name shockingly is Aviva. Okay, so right, so like so she's I didn't look her up like to see who she is, but she works. I did see that she works for the staff. She's on the staff of the committee that Congressman Deutsch chairs, which is the subcommittee on the Middle East and North African affairs. Okay. So, and I asked her for 15 minutes of her time because that's all these meetings take. They don't take more. Lois Franco. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so I asked for 15 minutes at a time. 15 minutes gives us enough time for us to introduce her, us to introduce ourselves. So one person from our group is going to say, "Hi, we are NCSY's Israel Political Action. We meet every Monday, and we've learned the issues for the first half of the year, and now we're starting to lobby and express ourselves about what we feel is important for the U.S.-Israel relationship as we start off this term of Congress." And then they're going to say, "I'd like to introduce my good friend, I don't know who's going to be next, Rebecca." And then Rebecca's going to talk about the first issue. I'm very concerned about spiders in Israel. Spiders in Israel is a big issue, and America seems to be sending a lot of spiders over to Israel, and that's got to stop. And it's all because Joe Biden is a huge anti-Semite. Donald Trump didn't let one spider in. Okay, so that's what Rebecca's point is going to be. And then Rebecca's going to say, "This was very, very important to me." And now I'm going to introduce my good friend, Rafi. Rafi's going to talk about an issue that's important to him. And Rafi's going to say, old Air Force One was colored blue and white, and that showed the strength of the U.S.-Israel relationship. Donald Trump said that he's going to paint it dark blue with red and white, and he designed it that way. And President Trump redesigned it. And I was confident that President Biden was going to repaint it the other way. And when his press secretary was asked about it, she said he hasn't thought about it for 1 second yet. And I think that shows that Joe Biden doesn't love Israel. And I'm very concerned about that. And I would like Congressman Deutsch to put in a bill to vote that Air Force One should not only be blue and white, but should have a big fat mug of David on it right next to the presidential seal. Okay, fine. That's Ravi's going to say. And now for our final point, we're going to turn to Hodaya. And my good friend Hodaya is going to talk. Hodaya and Rafi are never going to mention the fact that they're in Israel. Okay, and Hodaya is going to say, "Hi, my name is Hodaya, and I really am a big fan of the U.S.'s relationship. I'm very deeply concerned about Iran, and I found that in my local supermarket, there are Iranian pistachio nuts, and I feel that those should not be allowed into America. They should be covered under sanctions. You can't get an Iranian Persian rug anymore in America, and I think that was a positive step of the Biden administration to ban Persian rugs. And I think they should extend sanctions to pistachio nuts because it's my feeling that the funds going from pistachio nuts in the publics all across Florida are what's funding Hezbollah and the Iranian nuclear program. And I think that should stop. And I want Congressman Deutsch to put sanctions on Iranian pistachios and make sure that not one Iranian pistachio lands in any Publix in Florida. And that's what's important to me. And then I'd like to introduce my good friend, Ariana, who's going to finish us for the meeting for tonight. And thank you. Ariana's going to say thank you so much for your time and all these important issues that we've discussed tonight. We really hope you'll take it seriously. We know that lobbying once doesn't work. We're going to hopefully keep up a relationship with you, and we hope that you will respond to our issues and let us know about the pistachio nuts and the paint job on Air Force One. And I can't remember what ridiculous thing we came up with, Rebecca, and Rebecca's issue as well. And we hope that you'll address us shortly. And that's what we're going to do. Okay, so that's going to be how the meeting's going to go. And if he was going to say your issues are really important, just the other day I was talking to Congressman Deutsch, and he was telling me how much he enjoyed his ride on Air Force One and how the colors were really inspiring, and it reminded him of his commitment to protect Israel in Congress and America's #1 ally. And I am confident that he would never allow the light blue to turn to dark blue on Air Force One. And that's how the meeting's going to go. So now what we have to do is divide up who's going to talk about different issues and what you're going to say, because obviously we're not going to be talking about pistachio nuts and the color of Air Force One. So my question to you is this is your program, not mine. What are the issues that you think we should be talking about? Now's when you guys talk. Oh, so on Zoom, there's a button that you push to turn on the mic. Right now, all your mics are off. I can't turn on your microphone. So for you to talk, you don't have to raise raising your hand doesn't do it. What you need to do is push the button that turns the mic on, and then you talk, and then the rest of us can hear you. I know Zoom's new for all of us here, but this is how it works.
We could talk about Iran and making a good new Iran deal with changes in the previous one.
Okay, good. Okay, great. Iran deal. Well, we want to see the new Iran deal and the changes that we want to see in a new deal that's from Iran. And Congressman Deutsch is a good person because he has the ear as a leading Democrat on this issue. What?
No, you glitched.
Oh, I glitched. Sorry. Okay. Congressman Deutsch is a leading voice in the Democratic Party, so he has influence here. So this is very important. So it's a good person to talk to about that. Okay. So Rebecca says Iran and thinks we want the Iranian nuclear deal. What else should be an issue? Remember, Israel, America issues.
You said that it said in your WhatsApp message that part of the committee focused on counterterrorism. So maybe we can talk about the U.S.-Israel cooperation on it and on counterterrorism, how it helps both countries' agendas, it keeps them both safe, and something along those.
Okay, so that's a great idea. There's got to be an ask, right? So we've got to ask this thing. So that's a great idea, something to talk about. But you gotta finish it off with, and therefore I want this. I'd like you to do the following, right? Because there's no ask. So it's true that a lot of times we do talk about the importance of. Look, I'll tell you this: the holy grail of what we lobby for is always Iran, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, okay, and foreign aid, okay. Those are the go-tos. Those are the easy go-tos. But there's no reason why you can't throw in something on counterterrorism. And say wouldn't it be great if Congressman Deutsch put in a new bill that increased funding and cooperation between the United States and Israel on counterterrorism, right? Or maybe a bill that America's going through this issue with a lot of people thinking that Jews have lasers and are controlling the world through the lasers. Maybe now is a good time that we talk about how Israel could help with education, and Israel can show that it has no lasers. Right, that could be something.
We can just get some lasers and make it true.
Right, I don't know if that's a good idea to lobby on that. Right, so that might make you sound crazy. So so I would say instead, but in terms of a partnership on terrorism research and things like that. That could be what it is. Okay, what else? Yes, Rebecca. No, Rebecca. Yeah, very good.
I'm used to raise my hand for school, but I don't know if this is a Congress thing, but I guess having better like press, like because I feel like you know what I mean.
We could ask him to shut down Twitter accounts of everybody we disagree with. That seems to be gaining a lot of popularity in America. And if the Democrats pass a bill about that, it'll be very consistent. You can say, look, you did a wonderful job of President Trump. We don't hear anything from him like again at all. If we did this with real anti-Semites, not people that we call anti-Semites, even though they're not, if we did this with genuine anti-Semites, then we could be doing like real good work. I don't think it's a good motion. I think that's going to be a problem. But if you come up with a really good idea on media, then yeah. But I think like people get very touchy about media because like, what are you going to be able to legislate on media? You know, that's like a big problem. It's a really, really big, scary issue in America now because everybody agrees that you have to have some sort of regulation on the media. Everyone recognizes that fake information, it's like to your point, that fake information that goes out there is harming the democratic process, right? Everybody recognizes that. But at the same time, we believe firmly in freedom of speech. So how do you balance between the two? It's a very, very scary time, you know? When information, it used to be very much easier because it used to be that there wasn't free information out there. You had to be like wealthy and know how to read in order to have information. Now you don't have to be wealthy to have information, and we've taught everybody how to read. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. Okay, I hope everybody recognizes the sarcasm.
Was that Marjorie Taylor Greene's latest conspiracy theory?
Yeah, so that's right. So, but let's think about something on Rebecca, on the Israeli-Palestinian issue or on funding for Israel. Let's think along those lines. But yeah. Okay, anybody here? So far we've got the Iranian bill and we've got counterterrorism. What do we got? Who's got something better? Odaya, what do you got?
Maybe, I'm not sure if this is good, but maybe something with the International Criminal Court about what they did this week.
What would it be? What do we want?
Maybe try and maybe something with getting the Palestinians out of there or something because they got in illegally. It's because they're not a real state, so they can't participate in it. So maybe, not sure.
Can I help you with the idea a little? Do you mind if I tweak it a little bit? The Biden administration was very clear about how neither side should take unilateral action that would harm the two-state solution, right? So what that's code for is, hey, Pilchowski, stop building on your house, right? No settlements, because if you have settlements, then that's a unilateral stop to the two-state solution. But the Palestinians, by going to the International Criminal Court, are trying to penalize Israel. That's a unilateral step. So how about no funding, no opening the Washington PLO office if you continue to press this case at the ICC? No funding for the PA unless they do that. That's like, that's an interesting idea. And you're putting an idea in somebody's head. They like, okay, it'd be very interesting if you get that. That's a very hard get, right? Because then you're trying to turn the Biden administration a complete 180, right? But maybe just by planting the idea, it encourages the Biden administration to encourage them even more. So Congressman Deutsch has a conversation with them about that. Okay. So here's
not 100% my idea. This is David Milstein. This is not 100% my idea. I took it from David's op-ed.
Op-ed, yeah. So it was actually very good and I told David, I said, what I really liked about it, David's an attack dog. This is David Milstein used to work for Ambassador Friedman. By the way, Ambassador Friedman and Rabbi Lightstone and the Deputy Mayor of Yerushalayim all coming to my house on Thursday. I invited Rafi's dad, but he said, no, send Rafi instead. And I said, I can't because we're having adult beverages. So I don't know if your dad told you, but any case, so that's the story. So, and Geller's coming, most importantly. So, but in any case, so I liked it from David Milstein because it wasn't an attack. It was, here are 6 easy suggestions to do as a response. I really liked it. Okay, but in any case, here's our assignments. Everybody's going to research and come up with a simple 2 paragraphs. 200 words, takes you about a minute and a half to read. Okay, so who was it? Rebecca, what did you come up with? What was the first thing you said?
Like the Iran deal.
The Iran deal, okay? And what we want there, so you're gonna read, you're gonna come up with 200 words and you're gonna send it to me. and it's gonna be done by this Monday. Okay. You're gonna send me 200 words that you want to say. Don't worry, we'll tweak it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Don't worry, it's a draft. Okay. And then who's next? Rafi. You're gonna come up with something 200 words on counterterrorism. Okay. Hodaya, you're gonna come up with something on the ICC, and you're gonna follow the news to make sure that there isn't. Jordan, I'm giving you an assignment. You are going to introduce the group. Okay, and you're going to talk about the fact. You're going to be in touch with Rebecca, with Rafi, and Hodaya about what they're talking about, so you can introduce it properly without giving it away. No, spoiler alerts, but no, no real giving away what they're going to be talking about. Ariana, are you going to be? Can you commit to be with us on the 22nd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Ariana, you're gonna, like we had in the example, you're going to close us off. Okay, and you're going to talk about the importance of what we said. And okay, now here's key. I totally forgot about this. The most important thing. Okay, and Ariana, this is really important for you. Okay, because how you say this is going to be very important, and also Jordan, to a certain extent, you as well. Everybody, when I say everybody, I'm talking to Rebecca, Hodaya, and Rafi. Starts off by saying thank you very much. First of all, Aviva and to Congressman Deutsch for their great work in the support of Israel. We really appreciate it. Something along those lines. Thank you. Jordan, when you start off, the first thing you're going to say is, Aviva, thank you so much for taking time with us. Okay, we really, really appreciate it. We know how busy of a schedule you have. We know how hard it is with COVID and with all the craziness that's going around Washington right now for you to take the time out to speak to us. And it's really important for us to be able to express ourselves to our member of Congress. And thank you very, very much. And then something along those lines. Okay, I hope you wrote that all down. Okay, and Ariana, you're going to say something along those lines. I know you know how to articulate your message very well. You're going to say that we're very thankful for, and I want to hear the words out of your mouth, for the Democratic Party, which loves Israel more than the Republican Party. Okay, so but I want you to say, no, we're going to leave. It's a joke. We're going to leave partisanship out of this. And you're going to say, we want to thank you. I want to thank Congressman Deutsch and for this opportunity that we had. And you're going to sum up the three messages from Rebecca, Hodaya, and Rafi, and talk about how important it is. And we hope that we'll be in touch with you. And continue this relationship and see, and we hope that we'll hear back from you soon about the issues that we talked to you about. Good, everybody got it? Okay, and if this goes well, we'll keep doing this the whole year. We'll just keep getting more and more people from different members of Congress office, okay? And just keep going. Be really cool. We can make a real difference. Yes, Rebecca.
I've never done this before, so I'm scared it's not gonna be good. So should I do it? Is any of the other things I don't know.
There's everybody. Here's the key. You ready? It's very important to realize, okay? By showing up as a teenager, you've already wowed them. It's just that simple. The fact that you show up and do this, as opposed to playing a video game or God knows what else, is already. Aviva, as a teenager, never did this, okay? She didn't do this. Nobody ever did this as a teenager. Very few teenagers ever do this. The chances that, right, she's going to see this, she's going to be like, holy cow, these people are really young. They don't know what they're talking about. And everybody on their first time lobbying, everybody stutters. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody reads a line and then they realize that they're reading the exact same line they just said. They said, and it doesn't make a difference. Okay, it's not going to matter because at the end of the day, Jordan introduced you well, and Ariana's going to sum up for you well, and you're going to get your message across, even though you think the whole time you're going to be saying, I'm definitely messing this up. I am totally messing this up for the whole group. That's what will be going through your mind the entire time. You're not going to know what you're reading. You're not going to remember what you're reading. You're going to be just sitting there and hoping if somebody slips another piece of paper in there that talks about monkeys and elephants, you will read it and think that you're talking about Iran, and you're not going to be, and you'll have no idea, and it won't matter. And it'll be over before you realize it. And then it'll be like, wow, that was so simple. I can't wait to do that again. That's everybody's first lobbying experience, whether you're a teenager or you're an 80-year-old man who's, run companies before. Now is the first time they're talking to a member of Congress. Good? And keep in mind, Aviva's not going to be older than 25 years old. Okay, you've had camp counselors that are older than her. Okay, so keep that in mind. You're not talking to a 50-year-old with 30 years experience in foreign policy. Okay, 2 years ago she was in a classroom in Brandeis or somewhere. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, everybody got it? Good. Okay, have a great 2 weeks. I'll be in touch with you guys by WhatsApp. Okay, so and enjoy. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Okay.